guess what everyone, I managed to get myself my awesome title screen, but just me for myself this time around though. Even then Luigi, that was an alternative title screen we've got, so yeah. Hey everyone, this is me Luigi here, and I'm Piglet here. We are back for some more of the Maxi Toys videos, and ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to more Let's Play of Mario Kart Wii for the Nintendo Wii. So last time we did tackle through Special Cup in 150cc, and now we're going to be continue on and going to be starting things off from the Retro Cups department, much like in Mario Kart DS. Now, the fact that we're going to be going through Shell Cup first. So, before we get to start this episode up, is that as you can see on the file selection screen, we did manage to switch over Luigi's file to the ones in the second file because, truth be told guys, is that we actually did manage to point things out is that our first file is being currently deleted. Granted, because of how the fact that we can't be bothered to actually cut off screen on this particular file because I feel like it's such more of a waste of opportunity. But because of this, I was so used to with this file more so to the first file. So even then though, as you can see, that I've managed to got every single golden cups for all golden trophies throughout the entire game, as you can see on this little square grid. So even then though, that we first thought to ourselves, then that file will be on its way. So, and also as you can see on here is that much like in Mario Kart DS and especially Mario Kart Double Dash and Super Circuit actually, and even Mario Kart 64 as a result, he actually gets us an alternative title screen right here, much like how it does in previously. So, but even then though, that this time around though, is that unlike in the previous entries, and before Mario Kart 7 and Mario Kart 8, those title screens can alternate it slightly. So even then though, every time when we finish these specific Grand Prix or something like that, it will actually switch over to different characters or what have you. So, that makes it more obvious to see how the fact that will turn out to be. So, anyway, though, so let's get started, shall we? And also, another thing we'd like to point things out, though, is the fact that we, once again, we did this off screen, and we managed to unlock ourselves the fourth and final class of Mario Kart Wii, which is once again Mirror Merge, which much like in Mario Kart Double Dash and Extra Game in Mario Kart 64, and even Mario Kart DS, it's basically the exact same thing as 150cc, except every single course is being completely mirrored. So, but of course, obviously, we're not going to go for mirror class, honestly, because even then, it's pretty much the exact same thing as in 150cc, but every single course is being completely mirrored, and yeah, for the most part, checks out there. So, okay, so since that last video is that we actually did select Yoshi this last time, I suppose we could just potentially try to go for either Koopa Troopa or Dry Bowser. Truth be told, we actually haven't picked the smaller characters yet, so we figure we're actually going to be something a little bit more cooler, like selecting... Yeah, why not? Let's do Koopa Troopa for this video, so even then that makes it obvious is that Koopa Troopa actually got himself his shell on his back. And also another thing that needs to point out though is that we actually did off-screen ourselves for the likes of unlocking those specific karts and bikes, including the Bubble Bike, that's kind of weird, and the Blue Falcon, which is basically a reference to a F-Zero game, which is basically, you know, the Blue Falcon from Captain Falcon's, you know, number 7 vehicle. That's pretty cool, because even then, I'm really glad that how that's been turned out. Similar to how it does it in Mario Kart 8 as well, from the likes of Nintendo Wii U and the Nintendo Switch. So yeah, it's interesting. And also I'd like to point things out though is that our star ranking system in these particular cups has been slightly different for the change, because even then though originally it was supposed to be, can be ranging from 2-star rankings or 3-star rankings. Turns out is that we actually did, you know, going to be using our regular file for that as of time. I kind of wish that game does have a copy file system, but even then, no, it doesn't happen, unfortunately, though. But that's just all we can do for now for these updated stuff, folks. So, anyways, let's get started with Shell Cup. This could be ranging from GameCube Peach Beach, DS Yoshi Falls, SNES, Ghost Valley 2, and finally a N64 Mario Raceway, or in this case, Nintendo 64. As a matter of fact. So yeah, much like how it does in Mario Kart DS, it normally takes place into the past Mario Kart games. So even then though, for instance, for example, we're actually on this first track in Shell Cup, which is known as Peach Beach. This course makes a return in the forms of Mario Kart Double Dash, originally from Mushroom Cup in new forms of the second track, after Luigi Circuit and before Baby Park. So, yeah, what sort of differences between the original counterpart and the likes of the Wii counterpart in this particular course? For one noticeable thing is that, you know, the pipe cannon originated from Mario Kart Double Dash, that if you manage to take through that pipe route, that way you manage to get launched up overhead, and then that way you should be able to get your speed going. That's been removed this time around though. This is probably due to how the fact that they will actually break your positioning department, because even then though, if you manage to go through that pipe, somehow you instantly think about you're actually going to be in first place, but it turns out that you're actually going to be on 8th place instead, if you manage to waste your time on that part. So, and secondly, we actually know something right off the get-go is that now we actually have ourselves 2 ramps instead of just 1. So, yeah, it's a pretty cool idea to actually just point things out, but for the looks of it, it feels very similar to the GameCube counterpart, because even then though, because the visuals do look very identical, and especially noticeable where, you know, most of these elements about this course is very similar, although much like how it does in the original counterpart of this course, you still need to watch over for these little cataquacks, because even then though, if you get touched one of those, then you get flinged up, and then even then though, you also lose an item in the process here and there too. So, yeah, nothing drastically different about this particular track honestly, because, you know, it's pretty much exactly the same as the GameCube counterpart, besides, you know, no 2 characters on 1 vehicle, so instead it's just, you know, 1 person on a vehicle, so that makes it more obvious. Alright, so that's that track done. And now we move on to the next track in the lineup, which is in forms of the returning course from Mario Kart DS, in the forms of DS Yoshi Falls, which is originally from Mushroom Cup in the second track. So even then though, that, you know, it's very much like how it does it in Peach Beach from Double Dash, and now we're actually on, you know, Mario Kart Wii for the likes of the second track of Show Cup. So, yeah, that's how it goes though, hey? So, I guess indeed there are some noticeable differences I've noticed, is that for one thing, is that, well, obviously visuals do look a bit more updated now, but in forms of how the fact that it's much more sharper and cleaner. And secondly, as you guys can clearly see, there's actually a trick ramp. So even then though, that's all I can really say about this honestly, besides, you know, trick ramps and etc. As well as the visuals do look a bit more updated this time, as opposed to in the original counterpart, that's usually on the handheld to begin with though. So, yeah, that's all we can come across. So, I guess there's quite a few things we'd like to talk at this point, folks, is that, for one noticeable thing I might add is that, I'm gonna assuming that, first off, is that, the Sonic Runners Adventure were decided to able to actually hopefully try to release during the likes of the iOS version, thankfully, because even then though, that, I was really waiting for that game for so long now, well, at least over since for about a couple of months ago, but even then though, I'm really glad that how the fact that, the Sonic Runners Adventure will be able to now be entirely updated during the likes of, well, for the iOS version now. So even then though, that makes it a little bit more obvious. So, yeah. Oh, I did not know something right off the get-go, is that, oh, jeez, I felt totally bad for, Boda right there, because she just somehow wasted her time on that particular course. Oh, man, silly Bodo. Silly, silly Bodo. So anyways, next up we have is SNES Ghost Valley 2. This was usually a returning course from the likes of Super Mario Kart, and I believe this is originated from Flower Cup, if I can recall that. So, yeah, that's all I can describe it as for this point. Well, at least specifically, yet again, the second course in the Flower Cup in Super Mario Kart. Seriously, what's up with these, every single second courses during the likes of the Shell Cups? Well, except one, which is forms of the N64 Mario Raceway. So, yeah, if you probably did not know already, this is actually our 4th attempt on this recording session, by the way, because, well, we'll try and explain that. We'll try and explain this little detail as soon as we can able to hop into, you know, Mario Raceway until we actually get to that point. But even then, let's get to the differences between the original counterparts as well as the Wii version of Ghost Valley 2. Well, obviously it's pretty obvious, is the fact that the visuals do look a bit more updated instead of the actual 2D environment and all that stuff. And secondly, every single environment is entirely 3D. And also the trick ramp you can able to perform. Although it's kind of like the equivalent to the shortcut you can actually only perform once you're able to use the cape feather. So, yeah, that's about it for the most part. Even though that, yeah, everything else in this particular Super Nintendo courses is now in 3D. I kinda wish it has Ghost Valley 1 though, but that's all I can really think about it. Whee! I don't know why I kept falling off like no purpose, even though it's kinda like in Mario Kart DS, I've always attempted to, you know, fall off some of these stages, but that's just kinda ridiculous for my part. Alright, so now we move on to the last course in Shell Cup, and that was the forms of N64 Mario Raceway. This is originated from Mario Kart 64, in the forms of the Flower Cup in the final track on that cup. Which is, you know, very similar to ones in here. But this time it's in Shell Cup instead of the Flower Cup. So, let's go for the differences here, is that I've noticed something right off the get-go though, is the fact that Mario's icon is now slightly different as opposed to once in the original counterpart, is that in the original version of Mario Raceway, is that normally Mario's image is supposed to be that usually involves Mario just puts in 2 fingers up. But even then though, in Mario Kart Wii this time, it's just the fact that, as you can see on screen, Mario just puts his hands straight. So even then though, that makes it more of a difference when it comes to that. And also I've realized about something, between go and shoot text, these texts are heavily borrowed from the likes of not only Mario Party Star Rush, but also Mario Party The Top 100. Yeah, that was before those 2 games exist. Kinda think about it though, really. Yeah, and also same goes for Yoshi's name as well, and yeah, that's all I can say. Now to the actual point about this is the prime example of how the fact that we actually did our 4th attempt on this recording session, by the way. You never how the fact that we've already pointed things out for how the fact that how bad the rubber banding AI was. Well, that's the entire purpose of how the fact that the reason why this is our 4th attempt on this recording session instead of like the first one. Because I cannot for the life of me able to win this particular cup, especially when the rubber banding AI is involved. Like, you know, tons of items and tons of players are always trying to knock you out. And especially noticeable when it comes to motion controls involved. Now, I don't have that much of an issue with the Wiimote's usage. But even then though, aside from that though, because of this random luck factor with the blue shells, as far as we already mentioned about this. Because, you know, it's pretty obvious of how the fact that we don't have our second screen in our hands. So we need to deal with a pretty much a luck factor to it for this particular races, as far as I'm aware. Because obviously you can't really tell the blue shells either coming or not. So even though that can get pretty annoying. So yeah, you get the idea because of how the fact how that happened. So yeah, I will promise you guys of how the fact that we'll talk more into briefly into new stuff, because I'm afraid we've run out of time, because as far as I'm aware, because the Shell Cup is easily one of the shortest cups in the entirety of Mario Kart Wii. You know, similar to the ones in Mario Kart DS though. So yeah, I don't really think there aren't any blue shells in this particular run through, so even though that's actually a pretty lucky time as a result. So yeah, pretty awesome. So yeah, let's see the award ceremony for Shell Cup in Mario Kart Wii. So let's see how this goes. So obviously we got ourselves 3rd place position goes to King Boo, 2nd position goes to Peach, and 1st position goes to Koopa Troopa. I'm sure he's always been in every single Mario Kart games, although there are 2, I think there are 3 exceptions though actually, which is in forms of Mario Kart 64, and also Super Circuit, and also Mario Kart DS. So yeah, I'm really glad to see how Koopa Troopa has actually been almost every single Mario Kart games, although there's only one particular character I just noticed where that was the forms of Toad. Oh wow, sweet, we got ourselves a 3-star ranking. I think this is probably due to how the fact that we're actually going for this track with a perfect run. So, we're going to have to end things off here, folks, so tune us next time on Let's Play Mario Kart Wii. It's the fact that we're going to be moving on to the Banana Cup next. So see you guys next time. Later, fellas.